everybody, to the Single on Stiletto Show. I'm Suzanne Oshima, and I'm a life and love transformational coach and founder of Single on Stilettos. Today we have a very special guest, Scott McKay, and he's a founder and dating coach at XMY Communications. And I'm so excited to have him here today because today we're talking about what to do when he pulls away, because I know, ladies, that can be frustrating, heartbreaking, all of the above. So before we jump into it, though, Scott, I would love for you to tell our audience a little bit about you and how you became a dating coach.
Well, I've been at this for 13 years now, and I do this as a team with my wife. And both my wife and I have a history of being in the wrong relationship with the wrong person, and it was very painful. And we met each other, both of us having done the self-work to be the kind of person the other person would deserve. Mm-hmm. And to me, it seemed like an honest revelation that, if I want to have the woman of my dreams, I should be the kind of person that the woman of my dreams would want to have in her life in return. And that's where we came up with the tagline, deserve what you want. Mm-hmm. And I started practicing this in my life, and my friends started seeing the difference. Some of them, even some of the women I was dating, were like, you've got a lot of this figured out, Scott. You should really teach other guys. There needs to be more guys who've got figured out what you have figured out. And 13 years later, we're still doing it.
Awesome.
And changed lots of lives. And for many years, we've been kind of the force among both men's and women's dating coaching to really be men and women of character, mm-hmm. and find someone who's right for you for a long-term relationship, not focusing on being selfish or just trying to get what you want at the other person's expense. And we've always been so thrilled with the men and women who come see us, because it's mostly people who are great folks of good character who just are, the only thing lacking in their life really is the right person to spend it with.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So let's jump into this, because I know every single woman has had this happen where she's like dating a man, or maybe even in the early stages of a committed relationship, and all of a sudden she starts to feel him pull away, and she's just like, oh my God, what do I do? What do I not do? So, Scott, help out the ladies. Tell them what to do and what not to do.
Well, do we want to talk about what to do and what not to do, or we want to talk about what happened first?
Yeah, talk about what happened, and then let's talk about what to do and what not to do.
I have something I've been thinking about and talking about quite a lot lately, and that's being connectable. And I think that starts with a foundation of what I call archetypal attraction traits. Mm-hmm. When you think of, okay, what is it that we're all attracted to? Women may think, well, he has to be tall, dark, handsome, six-pack abs. All that's actually negotiable. Mm-hmm. A person's looks, a person's lifestyle, a person's personality type, where they come from, who they are, all of that is really quite subjective. What are the things that aren't subjective? Well, let me give you an example. I would love to have a lying, cheating son of a bitch for a husband, said no woman ever.
Right.
Right? We love honesty instead of liars. We love people who have good, kind hearts, not evil people. We want someone who's honest, not a liar. We want someone who's optimistic, not a pessimist. And, I have a whole litany of these. Mm-hmm. And those are the things, if you can check the boxes, you're going to be getting along and more attractive in general to more people. Mm-hmm. Someone who comes along and they're a liar, or they're not mentally sound, or they're just not a very nice person, they're going to have a hard time connecting with anyone. They're going to have a hard time getting anyone to think, okay, this is probably my future wife or my future husband. This is the person I really want. But what happens is when we can check those basic boxes of personality traits that we all want in another person, then we can get down to the second, up to the seconds here, really, I should say, of do we get each other?
Right.
Right. Another one is generosity. I want someone who's a giver, not a taker. You have an optimistic, generous, kind-hearted person who tells the truth. That's a great start. Then we can figure out, okay, where are we coming from in terms of how we handle money, how we see family planning in the future, whether you like to eat meat and I don't, whether you like to be a homebody and I want to go see the world, the God I believe in versus your religious viewpoint. All of those things are kind of second tier.
Right.
But without being basically connectable with everyone, having these major character flaws, if you will, you're just not going to be connectable to anyone.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is you have people who haven't done that self-work, and then they're looking for connections, hoping to pick up the pieces when there's nothing really to build with. Then, assuming that happens, if they do have the connecting pieces that these archetypal attraction traits in order, then either they haven't been in a relationship for a while, or there's not a whole lot of options available to them. They're in a rural area. They haven't made themselves really popular with the other gender just yet. And so they're like, okay, well, here's someone who'll put up with me. Here's someone I actually went on a date with and it went okay. So I'm going to, it doesn't quite feel right, but I'm going to try to stick the square peg in the round hole.
Mm-hmm.
Well, whoever needs that relationship less, as soon as they sense the reality of that situation, they're going to start thinking maybe not. But the other person wants it enough, they don't know how to tell the other person that. Why? Because there's this disconnect in their communication because they don't get each other. They weren't for each other to begin with. Mm-hmm. So instead of having an honest conversation where two people who connect can actually talk to each other, one of them just starts pulling away and maybe goes silent, or maybe just flat out disappears and ghosts the other person.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, when you have someone who's pulling away from the other person, they're thinking maybe not about this relationship, and they don't know how to communicate with the other person about it. And almost every time that happens, either a person's suffering from not having that foundation of connectability built, or they're just trying to make it work with someone who isn't quite right for them.
Right, right.
If there's this disconnect in terms of popularity with the other gender, this person has lots of options, they're used to dating a lot, this other person isn't. Sometimes this person who isn't can start feeling a little desperate, a little needy, and that pushes other people away because they start thinking, well, maybe I can do better. It has that psychological negative effect. So unfortunately, there's this cocktail of things that can happen to cause someone to move away. And men in particular, what they're trying to avoid is a negative emotional reaction from a woman that they'll get blamed for.
And I can hear every woman in my audience going, why can't he just man up and just tell me that what's going on?
Because that's the best way to do it.
Right.
A lot of guys don't understand that option's even available to them because they don't understand that women are humans. They're not some other crazy different species. I mean, I said this on another interview where Emily was sitting next to me, and I put it this way. I said, I promise you, my wife's genetics are closer to mine than, say, a chimpanzee's. She's a human. We're human.
Right.
A lot of guys just don't think women can handle the truth. Most women, I've had women I've given the equivalent of, say, a Just Be Friends talk to who have thanked me for doing it, saying, other guys just disappear. Thank you for at least telling me you don't want to do this anymore and being nice about it. And I think a lot of guys really do misinterpret that women not only can handle the truth but want the truth. They're not going to cry and throw a fit and start throwing plates like the Godfather Adam and being unreasonable. That's mythical for the most part.
Yeah, because most women are mature and can handle it and would actually appreciate the truth so that they can move on. But let's just say a man does do that where he starts to pull back and he doesn't have that conversation. What can a woman do? And we're talking about like they've been dating several months and maybe they're not in a committed relationship, but they've been dating several months. Or they are in a committed relationship and it's been a couple of months, but she feels that shift. Like, she can't pinpoint it. What should she do?
Well, a lot of people in relationships, men and women, are both very wimpy, and they'd prefer to put their heads in the sand and pretend this isn't going on when the writing on the wall is there.
Right.
And what a woman needs to do is not in an adversarial, argumentative way, but particularly in person, say, hey, I know something's changed. And the guy will go, no, everything's the same, everything's fine. And she'll either back off or she'll go, look, it's okay. I'm not going to overreact. Let's talk about it and figure out what's going on. Better we talk about it than not. And if he still doesn't, I think you can persist. And then I think if he still doesn't, then she can start throwing on the table what she thinks it is. And I realize that takes a lot of courage. And I also realize that you run the risk of looking insecure or needy. or like you're fearing something, or even being a self-fulfilling prophecy. But, if you're sure it's there, and he says, you're making things up and you're acting needy and desperate, then I think what it comes back to is kind of a full circle conversation here of, look, the two of you just aren't connecting. You're not of one mind. You don't see into each other's mind very well. You're not trusting what's going on with the other person, and you're certainly not vulnerable or transparent with each other. And I think then it's safe to start helping your logical mind understand that this is never going to be a deep relationship that anybody can feel comfortable committing to if you can't even be vulnerable or honest and straightforward about my feelings and yours and how this relationship is going.
Well, that's so true, because if it's happening in the early stages, my God, if you get into a marriage or you get engaged and that's still not happening, then it's not going to get better. It's actually going to get worse, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, and I could take that one step further for you. I hear from both men and women who are reading online profiles of people they haven't met yet. And the guy is saying, man, look at what she's talking about. She's such a bitch. I completely disagree with everything. It's like, and you're still thinking about writing her? Well, she's got a pretty smile. I'm like, look, if you already can't stand the person when you're reading their online dating profile, this is their best foot forward. It's not going to get any better when you meet in person, and it sure as hell isn't going to get a lot better after 6 months or 6 years or 60 years.
It's funny that you say that, Scott, because I say that about the first date. I always say that a guy shows up on the first date, that's his best behavior. So if it isn't great and you're like appalled at the behavior of whatever he's doing, it's downhill from there, because he showed up in his best, right? And I don't mean
I may leave a little room for nerves and butterflies and not being at your best because of that. But I think, if they're just behaving badly or you're not getting along, and it's a big political argument like Twitter, by the time the appetizer comes, you might as well throw in the towel. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Well, these have been some great tips and advice. So, Scott, I know you have a free gift for the ladies, so can you tell them about it?
Yeah, Emily's written a book that I think is wonderful. It's called Letters from Friends, and what she has done is compiled the questions she received from women all over the world and her answers to them, and put a volume together that really covers just about every aspect of dating and relationships you could ever want to ask about. She's given that free to you for asking, and when you sign up for her newsletter, she'll also give you a couple other bonuses. One of them is how to know if he's serious about marrying you, which is goes along the lines of what we're talking about here. And definitely click the little button in the upper right-hand corner and get on our calendar to talk to us for 25 minutes. We're pretty much WYSIWYG. We're real human beings. We're very pragmatic. We adore each other, and we can't wait to talk to you, and we'll see if it's a good fit to work together.
Awesome. So, ladies, if you would like to go get Scott and Emily's free gift, you can just click on the link below the video. And if you're listening to the podcast, go to singleonstilettos.com and look for Scott McKay's interview, and you can get his free gift. So thanks everybody for joining us on the Single on Stilettos show. Our show is available both in video format and podcast format. If you would like to get the videos, you can go to singleonstilettos.com, and if you would like to get the podcast, you can download it from iTunes. And if you would like to get our free gift, the Secrets About Men video series, you can click right here on the video, or you can go to singleonstilettos.com.